Y'all, it is so hot. It is so disgustingly hot. At this point, I don't even know what to believe, whether it's winter, fall, spring, or summer. I don't know. Because the weather is confusing. I'm confused, and I guess we all just gonna sit here real confused. Hey y'all, it's Ashley at Bookishrealm. Welcome back. If you've already been here, welcome if you're new here. Today we're gonna do something a little different. We're gonna talk a little bit about series check-ins. So I just wanted to do a check-in, kind of, sort of, but I didn't want to embarrass myself either. So we're gonna do this a little different. Today I'm going to be talking about some series that I feel like I need to possibly like read or unhaul, and there's no in between. It's read it or unhaul. So before we get started with the particulars of this video, I wanted to give a huge thank you to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. So if you didn't know, Book of the Month is a super popular, fast-growing online book service for readers. Their mission is to promote new and emerging authors and helping readers find the next book that they're going to love. So the way that it works is that each month the Book of the Month team spends time vetting through hundreds of books to come up with a specially curated list of early and newly released titles. That way readers can spend less time searching and more time reading. One of my favorite things about a Book of the Month is that they include a variety of genres, which for someone like me, that's super important because I read all over the place, from romance to literary fiction to historical fiction to fantasy. I pick it up, I read it all. So it's ultra important to me that this is a trait that Book of the Month has. So one of the interesting things about Book of the Month is they have this skip policy. So if you go through the curated list of books for the month and you don't find anything that you're willing to kind of check out, you can always skip and you won't be charged for that month. On top of that, Book of the Month has the best prices for newly released hardcovers. We all know, y'all, this is a tough time in the economy to be paying $30-$40 for a book. Now, I can't justify doing it, and I don't know many people who can justify doing it. So today, if you would like to join, you can use my code Bookishrealm, and you can get your first book for $9.99, which for a newly released hardcover, it's a really good deal. All right, y'all, so let's go ahead and jump into this month's selections. Every month your books will come in this blue Book of the Month box, and in January there are 7 main selections. These selections include Age of Vice, The Reunion, What Lies in the Woods, Independence, Hellbent, Queen of Thieves, and Lunar Love. So for my selections for the month of January, I decided to go with Lunar Love, which appears to be a contemporary / romance novel that follows a main character who is about to inherit her grandmother's matchmaking service, which is based off of the Chinese zodiac, and then she finds out that someone is using it as a means for a dating app, except it's all about animal attraction. And of course, this one seems to me like it's going to be kind of like enemies to lovers at first, and so I love a good enemies to lovers trope, so I'm particularly excited for this one. And the second one that I ended up picking up was Independence, 3 Sisters, Their Deep Bond, and the Struggle for India's Freedom. This one takes place during the 1947 partition of British India, and I had this on my anticipated releases for the month of January, so I was excited to see that Book of the Month had it. I love a good historical fiction novel, and I think that this one definitely is going to be one that I love. So if you're a fan of, let's say, you know, contemporary romance, enemies to lover, if you're a fan of historical fiction, like I said before, make sure you use my code Bookishrealm. That way you can sign up and get your first book for $9.99. As always, thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. All right, y'all, so let's dive in. We're gonna dive in real quick. So technically I have 5 series. Well, that's a lie. I have 5 series, but technically it's 6 because it's 2 by the same author, which is kind of an embarrassment. And so the reason why I didn't want to include all of my unread series or series that I didn't want to do that, because I was teetering on doing that. I was really thinking hard about doing that. But I think that the challenge for me has been that I make a lot of these list videos and then I kind of just, you know, let the actual lists just go to the wayside, meaning that I don't stick to it and I don't make any changes. So it's kind of like, what's the purpose of talking about it if you're not going to do anything about it? So this year, one of my main things is that I have got to focus on this collection behind me and the collection that's over yonder. I've got to do it, baby. I've got to do it because this is getting out of pocket. I can't keep collecting and not reading, and it's just becoming an issue. Plus, with the things that are happening economy-wise, I think it will, help me save a little bit more money in terms of spending. I already don't buy a lot of books, but listen, my kid is getting older. We're starting to do things like, sports and after school activities and stuff, and so that's costing more money. So that's where I'm like, if there's a place where I can cut back, it definitely could be on collecting books, and I can read what I own and check stuff out from the library. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into this. So the first book that I have, or the first series that I have on this list, is Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. Now, here's the thing. A lot of these series that I picked up, the issue is that I literally have 1 or 2 books left to read in these series. That's why the title of the series is Read or Unhaul, because at this point you either read it and you get it done with and you feel like, okay, it's worthy to keep in the collection, or if you don't read it, you got to get rid of it. So I'm not necessarily giving myself a specific timeline, but I do know by the end of 2023, like, these need to be read. So the first one that I have on this list is Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. I literally have, I think, 2 books left in this series and 1 book left in this spinoff. So I'm not that far-fetched from being finished. I've read most of these. I just need to, at this point, I'm going to have to start from scratch. I'm going to have to go back to the beginning and reread, because I really don't remember enough details just to kind of pick up in the middle of a series and continue, which that's the problem with not continuing series, is if you wait too long, you kind of have to restart because it's just too much stuff that's been lost in the wash. So Fallen Kingdoms, I have always pushed this as kind of like a YA Game of Thrones. You trust nobody. It's told from multiple perspectives. It's 3 kingdoms that are kind of going neck to neck in this, and I just can't believe I have not. Granted, the series is not technically completed because Morgan could not publish the final book in the spin-off series because the publisher would not put the funds towards it because of sale purposes. But still, that's not an excuse anymore. I've got to get this over with. This next one is even more embarrassing. I'm not gonna even lie to y'all. It's even more embarrassing than that one, because I have read book 1, book 2, and the novella in the series twice. 3 of them twice, and still have not picked up the last book. So at this point, it's either I do it or it's gotta go. And that is a Reckoner series by Brandon Sanderson. I have read Steelheart twice. I have read Mitosis twice. I've read Firefight twice. Firefight's even freaking annotated at this point. And I still have not read Calamity. Granted, I've heard mixed opinions about Calamity. But at this point, if you've read 3 books in the series 2 times, and I'm about to read them for a 3rd time, it's time to just make the shit happen, because it just, at this point in my head, I think I was just sitting on the couch and literally looking at my shelves, and I was like, this just doesn't make any sense. And I low-key got kind of like aggravated with myself in the sense of, Ashley, you've had so much time to pick this stuff up, and you've been picking up everything but the stuff that's been sitting on your shelf and stuff that you need to complete. So Steelheart is on here. This is a YA series, kind of science fiction-esque, where we have a main character who is interested in keeping track of superheroes, except the superheroes in this series are not good, and he is trying to kill Steelheart because Steelheart killed a family member of his, and so he's trying to figure out Steelheart's weakness, because all of them keep their weaknesses very close to their heart because they don't want anybody to know. I mean, who wouldn't in a situation like that? But I'm one of the few people who actually does enjoy this series. Most people do not like the Reckoners trilogy. I like it. Most people are not fans of it. I'm a fan of it. I'm good with it. But I just need to fucking read Calamity. The next one that I have on this list is super old school. Like super old school. And I don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened. I checked the first 2 books out from the library. Enjoyed them so much that I got the newly published covers for the trilogy and didn't read the 3rd book. I've read the first 2 books in the series and have not read the 3rd book. Now, do I think that this series is going to hold up against the test of time? Absolutely not, because this series came out in 2010. This is not going to hold up the way that I think it's going to hold up. I know it's not. It's 13 years old and it's young adult. they typically don't hold up that well, but that's okay. That is the Anna and the French Kiss series by Stephanie Perkins, who has gone on now to start doing YA thrillers. So this is an old one. This is a very, very old one, but I enjoyed reading Anna and the French Kiss. I enjoy reading Lola and the Boy Next Door. I did not read Isla and Happily Ever After. And they're more companion books than anything. But my goodness gracious, y'all, this has been sitting on my shelf for forever. And at this point, I moved it into the new house and still have not picked up the damn third book. I don't know what's going on, but if I do not finish this series by the end of 2023, I have to unhaul it. Y'all better hold me accountable to this too. No shade. Like, seriously, y'all have got to hold me accountable. If you see me talking about these books, holding these books up, and I haven't read them, tell me that I need to unhaul them, because, child, I just can't. Now, the next two that I have on my list are... they're two different series, but I just lumped it into one because they're by the same author. And at this point, I don't know what it is, y'all. I don't know what it is anymore. And I've got to figure it out. So, these two series by Libro FM. The Gemma Doyle trilogy and the Diviners Quartet. I do not know what is going on with my life. I have read the Diviners twice, and I think I've only read Layer Dreams and Before the Devil Breaks You once. I own the fourth and final book. I just haven't read it. And I have to read this one because I can't unhaul this, y'all. I can't unhaul it. I can't do it. If there's anything that I know that I can't unhaul, I cannot unhaul this. It is impossible to get this edition of this book. And it is signed. You cannot get this book anymore. People are paying a lot of money for this specific copy of this book. And my copy is signed by the author. So, with that being said, and the reason why I kind of put these together is because these two are connected. There's a connection that exists between this series and this series. And so, I kind of feel like I couldn't talk about one without talking about the other, but they're great. They both take place in different time periods, paranormal-esque type of situations going on, kind of magical. I don't know how well this one will hold up now, but I do know that this one, I've read this recently enough, and her books in the series have been coming out recently enough that I think these will do pretty good. But I have two to read in this one because I've only read A Great and Terrible Beauty. I haven't read the other two, but I only have one to read in the Diviners. Will I reread them all? Yes, because I'm a completionist and it's the Virgo energy in me. And the last one that I have on this list, because I also did not want to make this list extremely long, I tried to go for the books that were the oldest, the series that were the oldest, and the series where I literally had like one book left in order to complete it. I also, and I didn't want to pull it down because it's right here, but you see how that's stacked. I just didn't want to have to lift all this stuff up because the first book is here. The Lunar Chronicles by Melissa Meyer. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. And it's amazing that a lot of these stuff, it's like I really don't want to unhaul it because this is the original covers before they got remade into these covers right here, like the one that Winter's in. Cinder's an original cover and it's signed by I called her Melissa, y'all. Marissa Meyer. Oh my gosh. Marissa. That's why I paused and was like, Melissa don't sound right. It's not Melissa. It's Marissa Meyer. That one is signed by her as well. And so I don't want to unhaul that. And I enjoyed the first book. I enjoyed reading Cinder, but I just never got to Scarlet Crescent Winter. And then all of the novellas. I don't know what happened. I wish I had some understanding of what happened, but I don't know what the hell happened. So with that being said, yeah, those are the 5 series, y'all. At least this year, I'm starting small. I'm starting small here because somehow, some way, I've got to find some steam and some energy to make sure that I am completing whatever is on my shelf. This, like, not completing what's on my shelf and doing things in a very kind of low-key backwards way is not going to continue to work for me. So I've got to figure it out, and me figuring it out is kind of holding myself accountable. So in the comments down below, let me know what are some series that you are trying to accomplish or finish this year. You know, are there any where you kind of just have given up? Are you giving yourself a timeline? Let me know what your methods are. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. If you're looking for ways to follow me on social media or support the channel, all the links will be down in the description box below. And I'll be back with another video soon. And hopefully these series will be read, y'all. Oh my God. Bye.